Hi, and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I do scrapbooking process videos and more here on my channel. Today's sexy narration is brought to you by the 2023 cold and flu season. This is a layout that I created a few weeks ago, and I have been too sick to narrate until today. So here it is. I'm so happy to finally be able to bring you this one. I am just showing you a little bit of a behind the scenes sneak peek at how I store my kit. I just keep it in a little trolley beside me. And I have been scrapbooking with this Joy kit from MercyTiara Kits for the entire month of December. As you can see, I have lots of scraps, and there are a few papers that I want to use that are already cut up into smaller scraps. Right now, I'm just looking for something that I could use as a background paper, and I'm also trying to figure out which embellishments I might want to use, especially these foam ones that I felt like I hadn't been using them quite enough. I've narrowed it down to these papers. Definitely want to use some of this glitter cardstock that came in the kit, and I'm going to cut apart some of these holly leaves from this wreath paper that's so beautiful from Vicky Boutin that came in the kit. I just love this paper, and my first thought was that I would use it as a wreath, but what I'm doing today is I'm just going to cut out some of the little holly leaves, and for now I'm just leaving the little bits of holly berries in the middle. I'm just cutting around them roughly, and I'll decide later what I want to do with those. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to want to cut them down or maybe replace them with dots or circles of some other sort. But for now, I'm just going to cut them very roughly so I have these holly leaves to use as embellishments on my page. So I just skipped forward to the end of that. It took me a little bit to cut out these leaves. I just wanted a little small assortment. I didn't go overboard and cut a whole lot of them. Now I definitely want to cut a strip of this cardstock, this glitter cardstock, and I am using the sketch. This is the sketch for the December challenge over on our Facebook group. This challenge is actually over. It took me too long to get my act together enough to edit this video, but every month there is a new sketch up on our Facebook group, and if you are a member of our Facebook group over there, you don't have to buy kits in order to join the Facebook group. So please feel welcome to join us over there. But every month there is a different sketch challenge, and this was the one for this month. Our sketches are generously provided by Christine Davidson at Creative Scrappers, and the link to her shop is in the bottom of every one of my videos in the description section. So as you can see, I am trying to use this paper that is already torn, and I do want to use a semi-rectangular shape of it, even though it's torn in such a way that it was hard to get a rectangle out of it. But I managed to get at least a partial. There's a couple of ripped corners there, but that's okay. I'm also going to take a fairly large chunk of this beautiful plaid. I just love the brightness of this plaid. The white really brightens it up, the white stripe in it. And I'm also going to combine this beautiful floral that came in the kit as well. It's a Cartabella paper, so it's got that beautiful rich texture. The Cartabella pattern paper is on a beautiful textured cardstock. If you're not familiar with it, it's really worth grabbing a piece or a collection or some of it and trying it out because it's just really, really beautiful to work with. At this point, I'm following the sketch fairly closely. I've just replaced the 3 photos with one wide photo, and I was going to use craft paper as my background, but at the last minute, I decided to use this beautiful paper. It's also from Cartabella. Everything that I worked with today came in the kit. That's the Joy kit from MercyTiara Kits. We do still have more of those in stock, so check out our shop. It's listed below if you're interested in that. But I just decided to use that beautiful paper. It reminds me of a knit sweater, and I thought that I loved the warm mint green that it brings into the page, and it just softens up the whole thing and introduces a new lighter color. I'm wanting to introduce some contrast between my layers here. These layers have a risk of running into one another and looking very overpowering and not having the space to really breathe on their own. So one of the things I do in these cases is I outline, but if outlining is not going to be bold enough, then I will matte my papers in black. And so my thought here was that I might matte every single one of these layers in black cardstock. That's why I grabbed my whole entire stash of black. And I thought about that for a second, and then I decided to instead, I will use a bold marker. I'm using my Faber-Castell Pitt pen in the brush tip. And the Faber-Castell brush tip is a firm brush, so you can't really do brush lettering with it, but it does create a really nice bold line like this. And as you can see, it's almost as bold. It's a step down from the boldness that I would have gotten if I matted everything in black, but it's still very, very bold. So I do really like this. It does a few things. It saves me cardstock, it saves me time, and it's just a little bit less bold. So I went for this in this particular case. There have been other times that I've gone ahead and outlined or matted every single pattern paper with black paper, and that would have looked fine too, I think. I think it would have been very, very bold then. So I would have gotten a different look if I had done that, but I'm ultimately happy with the way that this looks. So as you can see, that's coming together quite nicely. The layers are working nicely now, and there's nice definition between each of those patterns, and the same outlining on all of them allows me to have those papers look like they really go together, even though they come from a variety of different collections. I'm going to trim down my background paper here, this Cartabella pattern paper. I'm trimming it down. Oh, look, it's the back side of the floral that I was using. I'm going to mat it on black. So I just trimmed down my black cardstock. It's from Basil, so it has a designer strip. I just had to cut that down. And then I cut the background paper from Cartabella, cut it down to 11.5 by 11.5 so that it has a 1/4 inch border all the way around the outside edge. And I really like what that does for that. Otherwise, the background is quite washed out, and I just wanted to define the edges of it a little bit. So here is the Vicki Boutin titles that came in. I believe these were part of the add-on for the embellishment add-on for the kit. Now you see me, what I'm doing here is I'm actually stealing letters from a variety of different phrases so that I can spell the word Swifty. There wasn't an F, so I took an E and just cut off the foot of it, so that I have the words Swifty. And this photo is of our elf. Before our work Christmas party, which we hosted, our elf set himself up inside of our record player, and he had little miniature versions of Taylor Swift albums, and he was wearing my AirPods. I don't know how he got them, but he managed to get my AirPods out of my craft room, and he was just jamming to some Swifty tunes. So we thought that that was pretty cute, so we took a little picture of him. So this is my title. It's A Swifty Life, and that allowed me to combine a bunch of different letters from those Vicki Boutin titles. And I think it really suits the little photo quite nicely. Now, I did cut these pieces out, and I'm really struggling with where to use them. So at first I thought I'd put them in the top and bottom corners, but they're not going to stay there. Now, I would love to use these pom-poms, especially just like the trim, not using the frame of them per se. And I played around with adding the little doily there. And what you'll see in this process is that I kind of wing it. Like, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing until I do it. So I'm trying out a variety of different things. I call this process auditioning. So I'm auditioning the doily for now. I decided to tuck the little punched edge, that glitter piece of cardstock that I punched with my scallop punch. And I'm just laying things around on the layout and trying to see how they're going to look. Now, so far, nothing is really striking me as looking really great. Nothing looks really bad either, but nothing is really speaking to me so far. So I think I need to take this in a little bit of a different direction. So I decided to get rid of that plaid paper. And that feels just a little bit less busy. I do really love the plaid paper, but it just, I don't know, it was just adding too much to my page. And I do really love this floral paper. So I'm going to take a much, much thinner strip. I'm going to use this as my ledge, and this will become a ledge layout. This is a standard design, a go-to design for me that I often fall back on when whatever else I'm trying to do doesn't work. So as you can see, that ledge just adds some anchoring to my page. It also gives a little home for some embellishments to live. And that just makes the whole process just a little bit easier. I'm going to audition a whole lot of things here. I have these Paige Evans from the Sugar Plum Wishes collection. These floral embellishments came in the embellishment add-on for the MTK kit this month. And man, I love these. They're just so gorgeous. And the kit comes with so many of them. Each package just has flowers and flowers and flowers. It's just unbelievable. There's also these really pretty glitter snowflakes. And I thought that rather than having that corner that was torn, and that's torn because my paper wasn't big enough for me to cut the size rectangle that I wanted, but I thought that if I tucked that snowflake underneath of the torn edge, it might look a little bit more purposefully torn. So I think I'll do that. I'm starting to find some more die cuts to add to my page here. I really like the little reindeer here, and just the way he was in my package. He came out with the bow, and I thought that the bow just looked really, really cute. A little excessive for the size of the deer, but I think that that's what makes it look super cute, is that difference between the scale. And so, as you can see, I'm just going to town with these embellishments and finding lots and lots of die cuts in this package. This is the Sugar Plum Wishes die cuts that came in the main kit. I have a wreath over on the left-hand side that I tucked in behind my layers, and that gives some anchoring for the floral piece. And at first I was thinking about putting another wreath on the other side, but that was actually looking just a little bit too symmetrical, so I didn't go with that. Now, here's another big bow that looks cute on my reindeer, but that bow really works well with the wreath. So I'll put it up on the wreath, and I can't get away from that pink ribbon that I just want to tie around that little reindeer's neck. So I think I'm going to go with that. I don't glue it down until the very end because I wasn't sure if I would go for it or not. Now, I have put everything down and haven't glued anything. So what I decided to do was just grab a quick photo of my page the way that it was so that I could put it back a little bit more easily. And now I layered this in an interesting way. I actually covered up the edges, like the bottom edge of that floral piece that runs the whole width, so that you really just see it peeking out on either side. Typically, I would have ran that underneath so that you could see a little edge of it peeking out, and I can't really remember why I didn't do that. It might have just looked a little bit too busy, or maybe I didn't cut that piece wide enough to make that work, but that would have been another option, would be to just run that along the bottom. I do really love the contrast of that red glitter scalloped border with that specific green paper that it's layered with. So that might be why I made that floral paper go directly behind, because I might have just wanted those two papers against one another. I just shifted it over a little bit because I didn't want it to be too centered. I wanted more of the glitter border to be showing over on the right-hand side than on the left-hand side. I'm going to use my little Santa die cut here, and I'm popping him up with foam dots. These, I believe, are the thicker foam dots. So these are the 3mm. Yeah, they are. The 3mm foam dots, which really pops him up quite a bit and gives him a fairly large, not large, but a deep gray shadow all the way around him. And it's really cute. I love popping up my die cuts on a page. I'll just trim that down so that it tucks better, and that will allow me, and I just have to keep going back into my photo to see where I had put everything, because I really did like where it was laid out, so there's no point in reinventing the wheel and figuring it all out all over again. So I'll just place everything the way that it was in my original photo, and now this is a cute little penguin. I'm popping him up also on the 3mm foam dots. And putting him in there. And I thought about, this banner that I really want to use, I thought about dangling it from around where the penguin is. The penguin is sitting with some gifts. And I'm still thinking about what I'm going to put in the top corner. Going to commit to adding the bow to the reindeer. Oh, she's so cute. I love that. And then I decided that what I'll do is make a little secondary cluster here. I'm going to outline this little flag. It says Santa's helper, and that's what Elvin is. He's Santa's helper. And so I thought that that was a good little tagline to put on the secondary cluster down here. Taking a couple foam pieces to put every here and there. And my reason for putting that particular foam piece up by Santa, I put a little purple star. You can see it up in the space above Santa. That is because the penguin has purple on his hat, and I didn't want to forget to repeat the purple. Adding a few more foam pieces. Those foam pieces are about the same height. They're a little bit less high than the 3mm foam dots. So that gives me a different layer of dimension on this page, which just adds a little bit of interest. And now I do want to layer a little bit of floral underneath of that banner. I'm popping that up also on the 3mm foam tape, and I'll put the flower on the bottom level so those two will layer really nicely together. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. Look at that. Now I just have to place my title, which I've already decided on and spelled out on my wax paper. Wax paper is a great handy tool to have in your craft room. Just my tip about wax paper is do not use it with the foam stickers that come in these kits. So the foam that I've been using, it sticks permanently to that wax paper and you're going to have a hard time getting it off. So that's my tip for you about that. But all other kinds of stickers work really, really well with wax paper. Now, as you can see, this doesn't have great legibility, so my favorite thing to do with letter stickers that are layered over top of patterned paper is to outline them. And if it was a light font, I would outline it with black, but since it's a black font, I'm outlining it with white. And I'm just going to outline it basically just the word life, because It's a Swifty is already on a light background, so it doesn't really need outlining. If I really wanted it to look super consistent, I could have outlined It's a Swifty part of the title, but it just didn't make sense to me. It wasn't worthwhile. So that just helps the word life pop out from the page a little bit and increases the legibility of my title. And I really love how that looks. I'm having one last look at what embellishments I have. It turns out those pieces that I fussy cut at the beginning didn't even make it onto the page at all. I thought about adding a little clip here, these adorable little rose gold paper clips with hearts on them. They came in the kit and I love them. but it's just not quite right for this page. So I'll hang on to it. You'll see it come up in a page that I make actually with the following kit. So I hung on to them, didn't use any of them in my Joy pages, but I used at least one in my Celebrate page. Now I am taking this MTK confetti mix. These confetti mixes come with the main kits. Every month there is a custom confetti mix that's designed to coordinate with the kit. And I have to say, these confetti mixes are one of my favorite parts of the MTK kits. Just love having these little pieces to work with through the month. This month's, well, I'm working with last month's kit. So the Joy kit comes with a confetti mix that features red, green, pink, and also these beautiful little gold stars. And so I put a couple of reds, a couple of greens, and a couple of gold stars around my layout in just little clusters to accentuate the layouts the little embellishment clusters that I had. Now the last thing I'm doing is just adding my roller date stamp to just indicate the date. Before I share the photos, just a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. These folks help make this channel happen, so big thanks to all of them. Patrons get early ad-free access to all of my process video and also real-time unedited versions of most of my videos, as well as a monthly live stream, some behind-the-scenes videos of my room and my process. And thanks to you also for watching all the way to the end. Here are some of the close-ups of how this one turned out. This was a really fun page to make. As you can see, I took a couple of creative turns along the way and switched it up as I went, but I really like how it turned out. And it's fun to have a couple of pages documented about Elvin's adventures with us each year. So I always look forward to creating these, and I also enjoy looking through them in my albums when I'm done. So here are some of the places where you can find me on the internet. We have our shop up there. All of these are linked in the information section below and on our link tree as well. Thanks so much for watching. Take care and have a really great scrappy week. And one of the things I'd love to know, if you've watched all the way to the end, let me know if you have an elf that comes and visits your home each year. I'd love to hear from you. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.